He thought they were just old alien boots until they reacted to only him. The relic hunter's discovery. Nora Blackwell cursed as her magnetic boots failed again, sending her floating away from the maintenance panel she'd been trying to access. The ancient space station's artificial gravity had been offline for decades, turning what should have been a routine salvage job into a frustrating dance with inertia. Third time's the charm, she muttered, firing her suit's maneuvering thrusters to reposition herself. Her ship, the Wanderer, waited outside, a patchwork vessel that was one bad repair away from becoming salvage itself. The abandoned Proxima station hung in orbit around a dead planet in a forgotten corner of the outer rim. According to her scanner, something valuable waited beyond this maintenance panel, something that might finally turn her luck around. As she reconnected with the panel, her comms crackled to life. "Hey boss," came the synthesized voice of her ship's AI pulse. "Long-range sensors are picking up an approaching vessel, Helios Corporation markings." Nora's stomach tightened. A time estimate. 20 minutes maximum. They're moving fast. Of course they are, she sighed, working faster on the panel. Helios had a habit of showing up whenever she found something interesting. The megacorporation claimed ownership of every derelict structure in the sector, despite abandoning them years ago. The panel finally gave way with a hiss of escaping air, revealing a sealed compartment beyond. Inside lay what appeared to be a pair of metallic gauntlets, their surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift in the beam of Nora's headlamp. "Jackpot," she whispered, her scanner going wild with readings. These weren't standard-issue equipment, they were older, possibly predating human expansion into this sector. "Pulse, are you getting this?" "Unusual energy signature," the AI confirmed. "Unlike anything in my database. And Nora, those Helios ships are now 12 minutes out." She carefully extracted the gauntlets from their housing. They were surprisingly lightweight, almost as if they'd been designed with her in mind. As soon as she touched them, something extraordinary happened. The etchings began to glow with a soft blue luminescence. "That's not normal," she breathed. Acting on instinct, Nora slipped the gauntlets over her suit's gloves. Immediately, she felt a tingling sensation as the metal seemed to flow and reshape itself, conforming perfectly to her hands. The blue glow intensified, spreading up her arms in pulsating waves. "Nora, your vitals are spiking," Pulse warned. "I'm registering an unknown energy flowing through your suit systems." Before she could respond, the gauntlets pulsed once more, and Nora found herself moving with unexpected grace in the zero-gravity environment. It was as if the gauntlets were guiding her, compensating for her movements and enhancing her coordination. "This is incredible," she laughed, spinning through the station corridor with newfound agility. "It's like they're reading my thoughts." Pulse. "That's fascinating, but those Helios ships are now 8 minutes out, and they've deployed boarding shuttles. Whatever those things are, they want them badly." The urgency in the AI's voice snapped Nora back to reality. "Right, time to go." She pushed off toward the airlock where she'd entered the station, but halfway there, a section of corridor collapsed ahead of her. Instinctively, she raised her gauntleted hands and gasped as a blue energy shield formed before her, deflecting the debris. "Did you see that, Pulse?" she exclaimed. "I recorded it, but I still don't believe it. Those aren't just gauntlets, Nora, they're weapons." "Or protection," she countered, examining the gauntlets with newfound appreciation. The patterns continued to shift and flow, as if the metal itself was alive and responding to her. Whoever made these was light years beyond our tech. Reaching the airlock, Nora prepared to exit, but her scanner beeped an alert. "Multiple hostiles converging on your position," Pulse warned. "Helios security teams, they've cut off your route to the ship." "Find me another way out," Nora demanded, her mind racing. "There's an emergency evacuation pod on the level below you. It's old, but might still be operational." Nora didn't hesitate. Using her newfound agility, she navigated through the station's labyrinthine corridors, the gauntlet seeming to guide her movements. When she encountered a sealed door, she instinctively placed her hands against it. The gauntlets pulsed with energy, and the door's electronic lock disengaged instantly. "They're hacking the station's systems," Pulse sounded astonished. "No," Nora realized, "they're communicating with it. These gauntlets aren't just tools, they're keys." She reached the evacuation pod bay just as the heavy footsteps of Helios security teams echoed down the corridor behind her. The pod looked ancient, its systems likely dormant for decades. "It won't work," Pulse calculated. "Power cells would have degraded years ago." But when Nora placed her gauntleted hands on the pod's control panel, the systems hummed to life, displays flickering with the same blue energy that coursed through the gauntlets. "Nora Blackwell," a voice boomed from the corridor. Director Titus Reed of Helios Corporation stepped into view flanked by armed guards. His cybernetic eye glowed red as it focused on her hands. Those artifacts belong to Helios. Hand them over and you might leave here alive. Nora stepped into the pod, the door beginning to close between them. Funny thing about salvage law, Reed, possession counts for everything. Reed's face contorted with rage. You have no idea what you're dealing with, Blackwell. Those gauntlets are just one piece of something much bigger. The pod door sealed shut as Reed's final words reached her. They'll lead us right to you. The evacuation pod ejected from the station, thrusters firing with unexpected power. Inside, Nora studied the gauntlets with growing wonder. The blue energy had subsided to a gentle pulse, synchronized with her heartbeat. Set course for the Wanderer, she instructed. We need to rendezvous before Helios can intercept. Calculating optimal trajectory, Pulse replied through the pod's comms. Nora, what Reed said about the gauntlets being part of something bigger, do you think there's truth to that? She flexed her fingers, watching the metal flow like liquid over her knuckles, yet remained perfectly solid when she clenched her fist. I think these were made for someone specific, Pulse, and for some reason they've chosen me. Not someone, came a new voice from the pod's comms, some people. Nora froze, the voice was distinctly non-human, melodic and with unusual inflections. Who is this, she demanded, how are you on this channel? My name is Zeth, the voice replied. I've been tracking those gauntlets for longer than you can imagine. They weren't made for a single bearer, Nora Blackwell. They were designed for a partnership, one human, one not, and now that you've activated them, we have very little time. Time for what? Nora asked, watching as the gauntlets pulsed brighter in response to the voice. To find the rest of the suit, Zeth answered, before Helios does, because if they complete it first, everything changes. As the evacuation pod streaked through space toward her ship, Nora felt the weight of her discovery settling upon her. These weren't just valuable artifacts. They were a responsibility she hadn't asked for, a mystery she hadn't meant to unravel. But as the gauntlets continued to pulse in harmony with her heartbeat, she knew there was no turning back. Whatever these strange devices were, whoever had created them, they had chosen her. And judging by Helios Corporation's desperate attempt to claim them, the stakes were far higher than mere profit. Pulse, she said, decision made. Once we reach the Wanderer, set course for the coordinates this Zeth sends us. I want to know exactly what I've got myself into. And if it's a trap, the AI asked cautiously. Nora looked down at the gauntlets, their blue glow casting eerie shadows across the evacuation pod. Then we'll be ready for it. As the pod docked with her ship, Nora couldn't shake the feeling that her life had irreversibly changed. The universe had just gotten a lot bigger and a lot more dangerous. And somewhere out there, an alien named Zeth was waiting to show her just how deep this rabbit hole went. Convergent evolution. Zeth's vessel wasn't what Nora expected. Unlike the utilitarian human ships that dominated the sector, the alien craft resembled a living organism. Iridescent curves and pulsing bioluminescent conduits replacing the harsh angles and mechanical systems she was accustomed to. It's beautiful, she murmured as the Wanderer docked with the larger ship. It is called the Harmony, Zeth replied through the comms. And like the artifacts you carry, it represents a philosophy my people once shared with yours. When the airlock cycled open, Nora found herself face to face with her mysterious contact. Zeth stood a head taller than her, with skin that rippled with subtle patterns of deep emerald. 4 arms extended from a slender torso, and multifaceted eyes studied her with unmistakable intelligence. Lorienthian, Nora identified, recognizing the species from her travels. I thought your kind avoided human space. Most do, Zeth admitted, voice resonating with harmonic undertones. Our diplomatic relations have been strained since the Proxima incident. The gauntlets on Nora's hands pulsed brighter in Zeth's presence, drawing the alien's attention. They recognize you, Zeth observed, gesturing with one of his 4 hands toward a chamber beyond. Come, there is much to explain and Helios will not give us the luxury of time. The chamber contained what appeared to be a laboratory merged with a shrine. Holographic displays showed rotating schematics of what appeared to be a complete suit of armor, with the gauntlets Nora wore prominently featured. What exactly am I wearing, Zeths? The Lorienthian activated a control panel, causing the chamber to dim and a historical display to materialize around them. 50,000 years ago, our peoples were not strangers, Zeth began. Before the great regression that sent both our civilizations back to their homeworlds, humans and Lorienthians worked together extensively. The greatest achievement of this collaboration was the creation armor, a suit designed to be operated by a human and Lorienthian in perfect synchronicity. The display showed ancient images of human and Lorenthian pairs operating machinery together, their movements in perfect harmony. The suit was meant to terraform dead worlds to create rather than destroy, but during the final stages of its development, conflict arose between our species. The suit was disassembled, its components scattered across the outer rim to prevent misuse. Nora examined the gauntlets with newfound respect, and Helios wants to weaponize it. Director Reed believes the suit can be modified to terraform planets without regard for existing ecosystems, enabling Helios to claim and reshape worlds according to their specifications. But the suit requires both human and Lorenthian operators to function properly. Which explains why they haven't simply taken the gauntlets from me, Nora realized. They need me, or at least they need a human the gauntlets respond to. Zeth nodded, all four arms drawing geometric patterns in the air that seemed to correlate with the gauntlet's pulsing. The artifacts choose their bearers, Nora Blackwell. They selected you for reasons even I cannot fully comprehend. But I know this, if we do not complete the suit before Helios, countless worlds will die to feed their expansion. The responsibility settled on Nora's shoulders like a physical weight. She was a salvager, not a hero, someone who lived on the margins, taking what others discarded. And if we do complete it first, what then? Then we have choices, Zeth replied simply, to hide it away again, or to use it as it was intended to restore rather than exploit. A proximity alert interrupted their conversation. Pulse's voice came through on Nora's communicator, multiple Helios vessels approaching. They're tracking your gauntlet's energy signature. Nora turned to Zeth. We need to move, where's the next component? The chest plate, Zeth replied, bringing up a star chart, hidden in the ruins of Tarsis. The dead world, Nora frowned, that's deep in Helios territory. Which is precisely why they would never think to look there. Zeth's multifaceted eyes caught the light as they shifted toward her. The components call to each other, Nora. Your gauntlets will lead us if you trust me enough to follow. Something in his voice resonated with her. Despite their differences, physiological, cultural, historical, she felt an unexpected connection forming. The gauntlets seemed to pulse in agreement, their blue energy brightening. Then let's go treasure hunting, she decided. Tarsis had once been beautiful. Even through the Wanderer's view screen, Nora could see the remnants of vast cities spreading across the planet's surface like intricate circuitry. Now they were broken shells, monuments to a civilization that had reached too far. What happened here? She asked as they began their descent, the Harmony having been left in orbit to avoid detection. The same thing that threatens to happen again if Helios succeeds, Zeth replied grimly. Uncontrolled terraforming. The planet's core was destabilized in an attempt to reshape its atmosphere. The results were catastrophic. They landed near what appeared to be a temple complex, its spires reaching toward the burnt orange sky. As they stepped out onto the surface, Nora's gauntlets began to pulse more intensely, drawing her toward the temple entrance. They know the way, Zeth observed, following close behind. The bond is growing stronger. Inside the temple, ancient mechanisms hummed to life as they approached, responding to the gauntlet's energy. Corridors shifted, pathways revealed themselves, as if the structure itself was guiding them deeper. The architects designed these places to recognize the armor components, Zeth explained. Each piece unlocks access to the next. When they reached the central chamber, they found it sealed behind a massive door covered in intricate patterns matching those on Nora's gauntlets. How do we open it? She asked, studying the door. We don't, Zeth replied, we. Understanding dawned on Nora. She extended her gauntleted hands and Zeth placed two of his four hands above them, not quite touching. Energy flowed between them, creating geometric patterns of light that matched the door's design. With a grinding of ancient machinery, it began to open. Beyond lay a circular chamber where the chest plate floated in a column of energy, its surface etched with the same shifting patterns as the gauntlets. It's beautiful, Nora whispered. As they approached, a holographic guardian materialized, a figure that shifted between human and Lorenthian forms. The convergence chamber requires proof of harmony, it announced, its voice echoing through the ancient space. Only those who bridge the divide between species may claim the heart of creation. The chamber floor began to reconfigure, creating a complex maze of moving platforms suspended over a seemingly bottomless pit. But as Nora looked closer, she realized it wasn't random. The platforms moved in patterns like a cosmic dance. It's a test, Zeth realized. We must cross together in perfect synchronization. How? Nora asked, studying the ever-shifting maze. The patterns are too complex to predict. Not with logic, Zeth agreed, with trust. He extended his hand to her, and after a moment's hesitation, Nora took it. The gauntlets pulsed at the contact, their energy expanding to create a connection between them. Suddenly, Nora could sense Zeth's movements before he made them, could feel his intentions as if they were her own. Convergent evolution, he explained, sensing her surprise. Though our species developed separately, we evolved complementary traits. Your intuition balances my logic. My patience complements your determination. Together they stepped onto the first platform, moving in perfect unison across the shifting maze. When Zeth's natural equilibrium faltered, Nora's gauntlet steadied them both. When Nora couldn't perceive the pattern ahead, Zeth's multifaceted vision guided their path. They reached the center platform where the chest plate waited. As they approached, the holographic guardian reappeared. The bond between you grows strong, it observed. But to claim the heart of creation, it must become unbreakable. The platform beneath them began to separate, forcing them apart. Nora felt panic rising as the distance between them widened, but Zeth remained calm, his eyes locked with hers. Trust, he reminded her, the test is not separation but connection despite distance. Understanding, Nora focused on the bond she felt between them, not just physical, but something deeper that the gauntlets had helped forge. The blue energy expanded from her hands, stretching across the growing gap between them like a bridge. Zeth's own energy, a vibrant emerald, met hers in the middle. Where the energies touched, they formed something new, a swirling convergence of blue and green that solidified into a bridge connecting them. The holographic guardian nodded in approval. The heart recognizes your bond, claim it together. They crossed the energy bridge, their movements synchronized as if they'd trained together for years rather than hours. When they reached the chest plate, they placed their hands on it simultaneously, Nora's gauntleted fingers intertwining with two of Zeth's four hands. The chest plate pulsed once, bright enough to momentarily blind them, then floated toward Nora. It attached itself to her suit, integrating seamlessly with the gauntlets. The combined artifacts created a partial armor that covered her torso and arms, glowing with swirls of blue and green energy. The transformation has begun, Zeth observed with wonder. The artifacts are reshaping themselves based on our bond. Before Nora could respond, the temple shuddered violently. Distant explosions echoed through the ancient corridors. Helios, she realized, they've found us. They're earlier than expected, Zeth noted grimly. Someone must be helping them track us. The temple's entry corridor collapsed, blocking their escape route. The holographic guardian reappeared, its form stabilizing into something that resembled both human and Lorienthian simultaneously. The guardians will defend the sanctuary, it announced as crystalline constructs began to emerge from the walls, but you must complete what was begun. The final components await at the convergence point. Where is this convergence point? Nora asked urgently. The place where your species first joined hands, the guardian replied before fading away. Where sky meets void, where endings become beginnings. As the guardian vanished, a hidden doorway appeared behind the central platform. An escape route, Zeth realized, come. They raced through the new corridor, the sounds of battle between Helios forces and the temple's guardians fading behind them. The passage led to a small hangar containing what appeared to be an ancient shuttle. Will it still work? Nora asked doubtfully, examining the craft. In answer, her chest plate and gauntlets pulsed, sending energy surging into the shuttle's systems. Lights flickered to life and engines hummed with gathering power. I believe that's our answer, Zeth observed with what Nora was learning to recognize as his version of a smile. As they boarded the shuttle, a familiar voice echoed through the hangar. Nora Blackwell, Director Reed appeared at the corridor entrance, flanked by heavily armed Helios soldiers. His cybernetic eye glowed brighter as it focused on her partial armor. Did your new friend tell you everything? Did he mention his role in the Proxima incident? Nora hesitated, glancing at Zeth, whose expression had grown unreadable. Don't listen to him, the Lorienthian said quietly. Reed twists truth to serve his purposes. The truth, Reed laughed harshly. The truth is that your Lorienthian friend there was the chief architect of the disaster that killed thousands of humans. He designed the prototype that the creation armor was based on. Is that true? Nora asked, the armor pulsing in response to her emotional turmoil. Zeth's four hands moved in a complex pattern that seemed both defensive and explanatory. I was part of the team, yes. My designs were exploited and weaponized against my will. It is why I have dedicated my life to finding the armor to ensure such tragedy never repeats. The shuttle systems finished their activation sequence, ready for departure. We need to go, Zeth urged, now. Nora made her decision. She stepped into the shuttle, extending her hand to Zeth. Then let's make sure it doesn't. As Helios forces opened fire, the shuttle's shields activated, a perfect blend of human defensive technology and Lorenthian adaptive systems. They lifted off, bursting through a weakened section of the temple sealing into the orange skies of Tarsis. In orbit, they reunited with their ships, setting course for the coordinates that had appeared in the shuttle's navigation system, the convergence point. The first orbital platform where humans and Lorenthians collaborated, Zeth explained as they plotted their jump. Now hidden in the nebula where our systems border each other. Nora studied her new ally, seeing him with fresh eyes. You've been carrying this guilt for a long time, haven't you? Long enough to know that redemption comes not from intention but action, he replied simply. The armor represents what our species can achieve together, creation instead of destruction, harmony instead of discord. The chestplate and gauntlets pulsed gently, as if in agreement. Nora felt the weight of responsibility, but also something else, a sense of purpose she'd never experienced in her years of salvaging forgotten technology. Then let's finish what was started, she decided, together. As their ships entered hyperspace, the partial armor continued to adapt, its patterns shifting to reflect the strengthening bond between human and Lorenthian. What had begun as a simple salvage operation had evolved into something far more profound, a partnership that might reshape the future of two species and countless worlds. And somewhere ahead, the remaining components of the creation armor waited for the pair that had proven worthy of its power, not through dominance or control, but through understanding and trust. The real journey, Nora realized, was just beginning.